They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that?
Anti-Trump protesters showed up for a scheduled pro-Trump
Violent attacks by...
This is all they do. They hit you in the back of the head. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
Not only is Trump awaiting sentencing,
Jury in Homelander's murder trial...
We love you.
Love you guys.
You're very special.
We're all very special people.
We love you too, man.
We're living in a time where superheroes are the most popular they've ever been. And hidden within the saturation of repetitive, boring hero stories is The Boys. The show pushes boundaries with storytelling, character development, and by producing insane moments that could never be broadcasted on national television. But have you ever watched an episode and said to yourself, this feels familiar, as if you've seen or experienced the events that are taking place? Well, that actually isn't a mistake. The Boys holds up a satirical mirror to our reality that reflects our society, culture, and politics, exposing the insanity that we've normalized.
Your favorite social network is back.
Donald Trump's new social media venture, Truth Social.
One of the most unnerving comparisons is between Homelander, the show's main protagonist, and former US President Donald Trump, both being narcissistic, power-hungry individuals who thrive on chaos and controversy. At the core of both Homelander and Trump's personalities is the inflated sense of self-importance and fragile egos that demand constant validation.
It's mine. It's not bad.
Eric Kripke, the showrunner of The Boys, described Homelander as being a combustible mix of complete weakness and insecurity, and just horrible power and ambition. This description perfectly captures the complex psychology behind both Homelander's and Trump's public personas.
But you have no choice but to vote for me.
On the surface, both Homelander and Trump project an image of strength, confidence, and superiority. Homelander represents himself as the ultimate superhero, while Trump presents himself as a successful businessman and political hero. However, beneath this facade lies a strong sense of insecurity that drives their actions. Homelander craves attention and love, often becoming enraged when he feels slighted or disrespected when he's not getting it, even going to the lengths of being jealous of a baby because he wasn't getting direct attention from his boss. He also wants the spotlight to be his, and throughout the show has had moments where other teammates of his overshadow him as the more favored leader, in which he absolutely loses it.
Should be thanking Christ that I am who and what I am because you need me.
Similarly, Trump craves the spotlight, especially if it portrays him positively. In 2017, there was a cabinet meeting where each member took turns praising him and his leadership.
Greatest privilege of my life.
Deeply honored, and I want to thank you
For the opportunity and the blessing that you've given us.
And who could forget those infamous tweets? They will always find ways to brag about how great they are for a multitude of reasons, believing themselves to be superior to most, if not all, people. Homelander frequently reminds those around him of his superiority, often claiming that he is the
Homelander. I'm the real hero.
with Trump similarly boasting about his intelligence and how he's more connected and helpful than organizations and people.
I am the chosen one.
Their inflated egos often lead to impulsive decision-making and an inability to accept criticism. Both Homelander and Trump have demonstrated a willingness to lash out at anyone who questions their authority or challenges their worldviews.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
Ultimately, their narcissism drives them to constantly seek admiration and exploit others for personal gain when the opportunities present themselves. Both figures skillfully manipulate their public image to maintain adoration, often shown through outrageous displays of power and carefully crafted narratives that paint them as saviors in worlds of chaos. They create these images in order to exploit supporters' fears, anger, and prejudices, appearing as the champions of the people. Homelander and Trump do a great job of positioning themselves to be champions of the common people despite their high status of fame and fortune. These guys tend to attract a devoted following, with supporters drawn to their bold promises and chaotic, unapologetic behavior. Each of their fan bases are very similar. Trump's fan base sees him as a champion of the forgotten working class, thinking of him as the American hero that will ultimately get rid of all the people and problems making America worse, thus restoring it to its original greatness. Hence the slogan, "Make America
Great again."
Homelander, with his stars and stripes cape and blue uniform, embodies the image of the ultimate American hero. His fans view him as a heroic symbol of American greatness and patriotism. They idolize him as a protector and beacon of hope, often overlooking his controversial behavior and questionable ethics and beliefs. The blind loyalty of Homelander's fans in the show can be seen as a disturbing parallel to the unwavering support that Trump's maintained with his fan base. Trump has a lot of infamous phrases, but the one that many people tend to recall most comes into play here.
Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
At the time, this might have seemed like an exaggeration or a figure of speech, even taken literal by others. The creators of The Boys took this phrase to its most literal and disturbing extreme, directly inspired by what Trump said about being able to shoot someone without losing voters. This moment highlights the dangers of blind loyalty, where die-hard supporters remain devoted to their leader despite what they do. And it doesn't just stop there, because in that same scene, there is the January 6th riot connection. If you aren't familiar with what happened January 6, 2021 in the United States, a mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol in Washington, D.C. in an attempt to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. This was mainly incited due to the consistent message of saying the election was stolen for weeks after the 2020 loss.
Because if our country doesn't have fair and free elections, and if our country doesn't have borders, we don't have a country.
Okay.
We have crooked, corrupt elections.
Here's what I would say to you.
And I've proven it.
Unfortunately, no peaceful protests happened that day, as Trump stated. The rioters breached security, vandalized property, and clashed with law enforcement, resulting in multiple deaths and injuries. In The Boys, we see Homelander delivering similar messaging that influences his followers to embrace chaos and violence in his name. His words and actions have a direct impact on the behavior of his supporters, mirroring the real-world consequences of Trump's rhetoric. Homelander and Trump share a pattern when it comes to abusing power, using their positions of authority to intimidate, manipulate, and control those around them. This unpredictable and often hostile behavior creates a sense of fear and uncertainty among those around them, never knowing when they might become a target.
I mean, literally, I can see your face. I know when you're happy, lying.
One of the more obvious examples of Homelander's abuse of power is how he forces those around him to constantly prove their loyalty. Throughout the series, Homelander often puts his teammates in a situation where he expects them to put his interests above everything, even if it means compromising their own values or breaking the law. And if you fail to meet his expectations or challenge him in any way, you risk facing brutal consequences, which often involves embarrassment, death, or worse, depending on how much you've watched of the show.
They told me I was going to get my very own team. And then I got you.
I'm not going to spoil the entire show if I can help it, but one instance I can bring up, however, is when Homelander tells a teammate to deal with their secret lover because they are becoming too much of a problem in Homelander's eyes. I think you can imagine what happened without me directly giving it away.
Attaboy.
Similarly, Trump has abused power during his presidency by demanding personal loyalty from government officials, behavior closely mirroring Homelander. Throughout his presidency, Trump consistently combined his own interests with those of the United States, expecting unwavering loyalty from nearly everyone in his administration. This pattern is shown when former FBI Director James Comey revealed that Trump had demanded his loyalty during a private meeting in early 2017.
I was going to fire Comey. My decision. He's a showboat. He's a grandstander.
As his presidency progressed, it became increasingly apparent that cabinet members and top officials could only survive in their roles if they publicly displayed their devotion to Trump, often by giving the top praise, even if they didn't really mean it. The blurring of lines between personal loyalty and duty worried legal experts and historians, thus raising serious concerns. Essentially, Trump personalized the government, resulting in big-time consequences, making it hard to tell who worked for the government and who worked for Trump.
I got the sense my job would be contingent upon how he felt I conducted myself and whether I demonstrated loyalty.
We could use some more loyalty, I will tell you that.
This betrayal of loyalty from the Constitution to one man's demands is a clear abuse of power, undermining the basic structure of the US government and democracy. In The Boys, it manifests as a complete disregard for ethical behavior among superheroes who are supposed to protect the public. Eric Kripke, sorry if I'm butchering your name, commented on this observation saying, "The more awful public figures act, the more fans they seem to be getting." This applies to both Homelander and Trump, highlighting how loyalty can blind followers to the flaws of their leaders. The show uses Homelander's character to explore the psychological aspects of this kind of leadership. He's shown to be deeply insecure, using his demands for loyalty as a way to cover up his fragile ego, and his want and need for constant love. This mirrors the analysis of Trump's behavior, with many experts pointing to narcissistic tendencies as a driving force behind his leadership style. In both cases, the demand for loyalty creates a cycle of enablement. Those closest to their leader, whether it's the Seven, anyone at Vought, or high-ranking government officials, often find themselves caught between their own moral compass and the desire to maintain their positions of power.
I want you to beat these gentlemen to death now.
This leads to a position where problematic behavior goes unchecked and sometimes even encouraged. As The Boys continues to draw parallels between its fictional world and real-world political landscapes, it invites us as viewers to think about the importance of holding the powerful accountable and resisting blind devotion.
I did believe that the election was being stolen, and Trump asked us to come.
He personally asked for us to come to D.C. that day. I'll do it.
Even though it's super entertaining and a fun watch, at its core, the show serves as one of many cautionary tales. In this case, being about the dangers of putting too much faith in charismatic leaders. On the outside, Homelander with his perfect American hero image represents the idolized version of strength and patriotism that many people are drawn to. But on the other side, there's a deeply flawed and dangerous person. The show forces us to confront the reality that the leaders we admire may not deserve our love and support. The effectiveness of the boys' satire in the show, in terms of commenting on current events, has been widely recognized by millions. The show's ability to blend outrageous superhero antics with sharp social commentary has made it stand out in the saturated niche of superhero entertainment. By using and making fun of the familiar tropes within the superhero genre, The Boys can deliver its message in a way that's both entertaining and thought-provoking. However, the show's creators have faced some criticism for their approach. Some argue that the satire is too heavy-handed, lacking subtlety in its parallels to real-world figures and events. Others worry that the show's extreme violence and dark humor might overshadow the more serious messages. But despite these concerns, many experts agree that The Boys' willingness to tackle controversial topics head-on is a strength rather than a weakness. The parallel narratives of Homelander and Trump and The Boys highlight how satire can be a powerful tool for social commentary. By exaggerating and recontextualizing real-world issues, the show allows viewers to see familiar problems from a new perspective. This can be particularly effective in reaching audiences who might be resistant to more direct forms of criticism.
Then when I realized that, he was minus a lot of clothing.
She would not be my first choice, that I can tell you.
However, the show's creators have also noted the challenges of creating effective satire in today's polarized political climate, specifically in the United States. Eric Kripke has expressed feelings of surprise at how some viewers seem to miss the point entirely, viewing Homelander as a hero rather than the evil psychopath that he actually is. Ultimately, The Boys challenges us to think critically about the leaders we choose to follow and the values we uphold as a society.
God bless America.
By shining a light on the absurdity and insanity that can arise when we lose sight of these principles, the show serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of knowing what's happening in the world around us.